Who are you?
Whoever you want me to be.
Don't say I never gave you anything.
It's feeling epic.
3 words. 8 letters.
I remember everything.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Previously on Teen TV. I'm Jillian Benani.
And I'm Claire Wojciechowski.
And boy, do we have a very special episode today. I know I say this every episode, but today is particularly special. We are celebrating our 1-year anniversary of the podcast.
Woohoo! Happy anniversary to us.
I know. I should have gotten you some paper or something.
Oh, wow. That's lovely. Well, next year, whatever number 2 is, we'll think of it then.
I cannot believe it's been a year. I mean, time has gone by quickly.
I know. I was looking back at some of our old episodes and I was like, we just recorded this. How is it possible that it was a year ago?
I know.
Yeah.
And what a time it's been. Well, okay. So you were looking back at old eps.
Yes.
Like, do you have a favorite ep of ours that we've done?
You know, I think I really liked the favorite teen couples ep that we did.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
We each picked 3 and we talked about them. I think because
Yeah.
we touched on some shows and some couples that we don't often talk about. You know, we have our favorites that we talk about a lot on this show. And that episode, we got to dive into some other people that don't typically get as much love from us. So that was a fun one.
Well, I liked when we did the real life couples. I thought that was a fun one. A little gossipy, spilling the tea. Like, I had fun during that one.
Yeah, we were Dan Humphrey over here just, you know, throwing out accusations.
Dan Humphrey, I know.
The word allegedly.
I said allegedly so many times in that episode. If you haven't listened to that, go back and listen and drink every time I say allegedly.
Yeah.
If you're of age.
Yes. If not, you know, I don't know, have some popcorn.
And
I don't know why. Yeah, have some lemonade.
Yeah. Another standout moment for me was the boyfriend bracket that we did for March Madness. I thought that was so fun. I had a good time doing that. I was living my best life.
I was going to say, you were like in your element there.
Yeah.
You were making videos. You were like explaining like the matchups, the percentages. It was like as sporty as you've ever been. And I loved that.
I mean, I'm not so into the sports, but if we're putting boys from teen shows up against each other,
Yes.
I can get into that. I've already been thinking about what we got to do next March.
Oh my gosh. Well, save it for later. You don't want to spoil the surprise.
I know. You know, any regrets? We're talking all about the good stuff. I'm like, any regrets? Say anything you wish you wouldn't have.
You know, I was thinking about the sex education episodes that we did, and we were talking about the montage that opens season 3. And
I remember it.
Yes, and the word effing. There was a lot of sexual intercourse happening at the top of that episode, and I phrased it rather aggressively.
I do remember it was a little aggressive.
So I
just remember being like, "Oh, okay, Claire, we're getting into it."
I will say I do think that my description was accurate to what was being portrayed, but still, I could have softened it there. Yeah.
I love it. That's a funny one.
Thank you for your self-awareness, Claire.
Yeah, I try.
She's reflecting.
A year in, we're learning, you know?
Yeah.
We're learning and growing all the time.
I gotta say, one of my biggest regrets on this podcast is when I ranked season 2 of One Tree Hill and I put it above season 4. I wake up at night thinking about that. Like, I lie in bed being like, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? Like, I was only considering like the first 3 episodes of season 2 that I love. And I have big regrets about that.
Yeah, I was a little stunned by that. Because
Yeah.
I thought for sure our 1 and 2 were going to be the same. And you threw a curveball.
And I regret it. I mean, I don't really know what I was thinking. I think I was just like, oh, let me be a little different. Like, I like early season 2. Like, I'm here to say I was wrong and I regret that moment.
Wow. Okay. Well, we love a moment of growth. So
Yeah.
thank you for your honesty.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We've also watched a lot of new shows as we've done this podcast. Did you have a favorite new show that launched since we started?
You know, I gotta say I really liked My Life with the Walter Boys.
Yeah, no,
it was like
it's
just like a sweet, comforting, like silly, like nothing too serious is gonna happen kind of show. And I think that was nice, especially for like the winter time.
Yeah.
When it came out, it was like, oh, like it's cold, it's dark. I just want to watch this like this girl with all her troubles, or too many boys like her. Like,
yeah, we
what
love,
a world.
We love when that's the main problem.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all we need.
I have to choose between these two cute brothers that I live with. Oh, so hard, but
I know. No, that's a good one. I will say that was probably one of my favorites. I think I watched it like twice at least. Like,
yeah.
And I think about it quite a bit.
We're waiting on season 2.
But I'm going to go, I really liked Maxton Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was a show that we watched that maybe I wouldn't have watched it if we weren't doing this. Because I think we're just aware of a lot more shows that are coming out. And I feel like it's really like stuck with me. Like, I'm like, okay, I don't need to watch it again already. Like, maybe save that for a rainy day. Maybe in the winter I'll revisit it.
Yeah.
But I really love that. And like for an international show too, I feel like I haven't watched many of those, so I really like that one. It was a fun time.
Yeah, I loved Maxton Hall. I mean, very different from My Life with the Walter Boys. They scratch different itches. Yes,
And I think though that's why we both picked them, because it's like they scratch something different that we hadn't really seen yet, and it like gives us something different from what we watched as teens, like from the OC, from One Tree Hill, these more like teen soapy shows. And they're like similar, but I just think that they're different vibes.
Yeah.
So again, I urge people, if you haven't watched some of these newer shows and you're into the more 2000 shows that we talk about, watch some of these new ones. You're going to love it. It's fun.
Exactly.
Don't make me say watching Gilmore Girls again.
You can keep watching, but like, just mix it up.
Mix it up.
One season of Gilmore Girls, a new show. Another season, a new show.
I like it. But once you start, you can't stop.
I get it. It's hard.
You're
it's
watching
hard.
all 7 seasons. To celebrate our anniversary, 1 year of doing this, so this is like the end to our first season. So we are going to dive into our favorite first seasons today. So just like this podcast, these shows had a great season 1. All right. So we're going to talk. We each are going to rank our top 5 first seasons. So like these shows, they, really came in strong, came in hot, and had really solid, good first seasons. Again, similar to this podcast where we are coming in hot and strong.
Yes. And we only continue to go up from here.
Maybe not the case for all of these.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll find out.
But I will say, I do think a first season is hard to pull off. I mean, you need to get an audience who has never seen the show to care about these characters. You have to set up a whole new world. It's not an easy feat.
No, and you have to also leave enough room that there is still story to tell in future seasons. You can't, wrap things up too neatly in one season, because then you have nowhere to go. It's a really tricky balance that you have to maintain.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And that's why a lot of times we see a struggle in season 2.
We do. That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, that will be that will be next year. You'll get that. We'll finally be able to give you our least favorite season 2.
Hopefully we will avoid the sophomore slump. But...
Yeah, we will. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Don't you worry, listeners. We got you covered. All right, so should we get started? Claire, do you want to start us off with your number 5 top first season?
Yes. So my number 5 is season 1 of Sex Education.
Oh, good one. Okay.
I think it's a show that was so different. It was like a breath of fresh air, in that it was really funny, and like meant to be funny. Like it sort of leads with the comedy, but it's also very heartwarming. It's very sweet. And it also just, talks about sex so frankly and so openly, and acknowledges that teenagers are having sex, and they're having all kinds of sex, and they don't have all the answers. And, I think a lot of really great moments from the show happened in season 1 that we've talked about before. Adam, where he starts to where he ends, and we see moments of friendship with Otis and Eric, and Maeve just being the queen that she is. So yeah.
It's a solid first season.
Really good.
And I didn't watch that until this year when we started doing the podcast.
That's right.
I hadn't seen it. And when I started watching season 1, I was like, oh my God, this is great. Mm-hmm. And I think that I thought, because there were like a couple seasons out already, I thought maybe like season 1 wasn't super great or something like that. Because I'm like, why haven't I watched this? And I was like pleasantly surprised. I was like, this is a great show, you guys. I love it.
Have you heard about Sex Education?
I know. I'm like, what have I been doing? Living under a rock? That's a good one. Yeah, they had a really solid first season.
Thank you. What about you? What's your number 5?
Okay, for my number 5, I'm going to go with The Vampire Diaries.
Okay, I have this on my list as well.
Okay, what number on your list?
Number 4.
Oh, interesting.
So let's go right into it.
Similar.
Yeah.
You know, I love The Vampire Diaries. I think it is one of the most well done teen shows we've ever seen. That is consistent throughout all of its seasons. Like, sure, some seasons aren't our favorite, but still really solid.
Yes.
Like, it's shocking how good this show is for its entire run.
Yeah, for 8 seasons. And I was looking at this last night, and actually, like, multiple seasons have, like, 100% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah.
Which, like, take that with a grain of salt, as
Right.
with all Rotten Tomatoes scores. But still, like, that's kind of crazy for a teen drama.
No, I believe the Rotten Tomatoes scores. That's Bible to me. Like,
Their Bible.
But yeah, I mean, look, is season 1 the best season of The Vampire Diaries? No. But it is such a solid first season. Like, I think it teases the world, but doesn't give us everything at once, which I think was so smart, but also probably hard for them to do. Of like, we got a lot more to this. There's a lot more to this story, but we're not going to give you the originals yet.
No.
We're going to give you Stefan and Elena falling in love, which was very cute, fun, something for the Stelena girlies, like myself. But they do such a good job of like teasing you into the world, and you realize there's so much more to it than just like this love story of this human girl and this vampire. I mean, we're getting flashbacks to the 1800s. Like, never would have thought that when it first started.
Yeah, a costume drama.
Yeah. It could have been on PBS. I mean, and we still even get teases of like Damon and Elena.
Oh, yeah.
And Damon is so like bad in season 1.
He's so bad. He's murdering people left and right in season 1.
Which is fun.
It is fun.
And we get like him and Vicky dancing. Like, we get these still iconic scenes. We also get the iconic moments that like last throughout the show of like the decades dance. The season finale is like
great.
so iconic of season 1. And we also see like the side of Elena that still feels very like teen girl, where it's just like this girl who lost her parents and is trying to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, we get the high school stuff in that season 1, which is nice too, before it gets too adult and not too adult, but it gets more adult.
Like, we actually like see them in the school more. We get some football games.
We do. We get football games. Yeah. A lot of school spirit. There's like homecoming activities and such. We get more of the teen group too. Like, it's just like more expansive. Like Jeremy and Vicky and Tyler, like, it's more of that group hanging out, and we get to see those social dynamics as well. And I think they do a good job of holding back on some of the supernatural stuff, because it's really just vampires and then like some witch stuff. But like, Bonnie doesn't have the witch stuff figured out yet.
We don't have werewolves
No,
yet.
we do not. We get like a hint of that in the finale. So I think like, for as much as the lengths that they go to in later seasons to know that they still had a really solid season 1 with just vampires and some magical elements is really impressive.
And I'm glad they didn't give us all of that in season 1.
Too much. Would have been too much.
Yeah, it would have been a lot. Even just like learn about the world of like vampires, like all the rules and stuff like that. Like, it just would have been too much. And I like that we have a season with some of those quieter moments of the high school moments. I think it's important. But God, I mean, I could talk about the Vampire Diaries all day. I'm due for a rewatch.
Yeah.
Well, fall.
Exactly. Spooky season.
Yeah. We'll do that.
Okay, so we talked about my number 4 because it was Vampire Diaries. What is your number 4?
Okay, my number 4 is One Tree Hill. So, I mean, I had to put it on my list.
I know.
Like,
I'm not.
Like,
no one's.
I had to put it on my list. But again, similar to what we were saying about Vampire Diaries, I do love season 1 of One Tree Hill, and I think I appreciate it more now because I really like the high school moments that are in season 1. Like, just like Lucas and Haley, like hanging out, you know, before they're like in relationships, and the basketball stuff in season 1 is really good. We got a lot of games. I like that we see the dynamics of the kids and the parents and like how ultimately like messed up that is. But it was just an interesting element to the show before these kids have like no parents. Honestly, season 1 of One Tree Hill is like so wholesome.
Yeah, comparatively, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like before it gets wacky. And I think that's why I just like have such a soft spot for it now. And you see the beginning of a lot of the main stuff of the show. Like, I love the early episodes where we're getting good Leighton stuff and we see like Lucas and Peyton be there for each other, and like the early Nathan and Haley stuff. It's just like so cute. That like the tutoring sessions, it's just like you couldn't even imagine that in like season 4 of One Tree Hill. I feel like that that's why I just love the early stuff.
No, it's nice to reflect on a simpler time, for
Yeah,
sure.
I
And it is like the Naley stuff that like when they're first falling in love is
Yeah.
so sweet. You also get like a lot of Keith in season 1. He's so present. And Keith before like the whole season 2, Keith, I was like not a fan of because
Yeah.
of the jewels of it all.
I
But
know.
season 1, he's just like a solid guy.
I mean, he's perfect.
He's
And,
so
like,
great.
The relationship between Lucas and Keith is so good, and I'm so mad that they took that away from us. And even just like early season 1 Lucas, like he is just like trying to figure himself out, and you actually like him, and
Yeah.
you're like rooting for him.
You are rooting for Lucas in season
Yeah.
1 before he gets to be really annoying. But
Yeah.
like he's like the lead. He's like the narrator. And
I know.
like, but you know, season 1 is really good.
I just think when I rewatched it, like a year or so ago, I was like, oh, I'm loving these season 1 moments. Like, and maybe it's just like, it's almost like I'm just more nostalgic for that. Like as, I don't know, I get older or something, where
I
it like
get that.
wasn't as exciting for me as a teen. But now I'm like, this is so great. I
Yeah.
love it. And like, no one even really has a cell phone.
Oh my gosh.
It's so cute.
Yeah. Normal things are happening to them. Plausible things are happening to them. Yeah.
The worst thing was like a car crash.
Exactly.
Like-
And no one caused the car crash on purpose because that happens,
Exactly.
but later on in later seasons. This
Yeah.
was an actual genuine accident.
Yeah, there's not these like huge villains in season
No,
1,
it's
really.
just Dan.
Yeah, and like Nathan's kind of a villain at first, but like again, like now we know where he ends up, so it's like kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, what's your number 4?
Well, from a season 1 that is very plausible to a season 1 that is less plausible.
Oh, I'm excited.
So my number 3 actually is Outer Banks.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I
did not have this in my top 5. I thought about it. It was hard. but-
you know, it might be some recency bias on my
Yeah.
part, but I think we have to think about like how like fun and refreshing it was when it came out. Obviously that is tied to the fact that it was in the early days of COVID. We were looking for something new. But season 1, I mean, things get wackadoo on that show from the beginning. It's all implausible. But comparatively speaking, season 1 is like the most believable of the 3 seasons we've seen
Yes,
so far.
Definitely.
And I think it's also, I think we talked about in that episode how they don't have cell phone service because of the storm. So like that makes it a little bit more believable, and you're having to see them figure things out without constantly texting each other and like tracking things on phones and looking things up. They're having to like figure things out, you know, analog. And I think that's really fun and exciting. So yeah, I season 1 is like I think a really good one for a rewatch. They also pack so much into 10 episodes.
Yeah.
It is crazy the amount of action in 10 eps.
Yeah, we get to the action quickly in season 1 too, even though it feels less action packed than maybe some of the other seasons, but we do get to it quickly. But I do love the just like the setting up that they do in Outer Banks. Like they really explain to us like what this town is like, how it's divided between kooks and pogues, which I thought was really interesting. It was something that drew me to the show. And just like seeing how they live in this like beach town, and they bring so much of that into season 1. Because in later seasons, we're in some different locations,
Exactly.
we're moving around. But in season 1, you know,
They're in
all in the Outer Banks. And it's just so... It is a fun show to watch. I mean, I got my whole family to watch it during COVID. My dad was watching it. Like, we were all into it.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
Thank you.
Now you're making me have regrets, maybe.
I mean, it's okay. We can
I know.
rehash this when we're done. But what is your number 3?
Okay, my number 3
Oh my God.
is Riverdale.
That's my number 2.
Okay. I mean, come on. Everyone was watching season 1 of Riverdale.
Yes.
I also think that this brought back the like teen genre.
Yes.
Because we had not had a good teen show for a while.
Correct.
Like we were craving it clearly because everyone I knew was watching Riverdale season 1.
And that was part of the Netflix effect because I think like
Yeah.
I watched it in real time on the CW.
Well, same, duh.
But then,
of
like,
course I was paying
right.
for the CW.
But then, like, you know, a lot of people didn't watch until it went on Netflix, like the day after the finale aired.
Yeah.
And that is when it really exploded.
Yeah. And season 1 is so good.
It is
like
good.
The mystery element is so interesting. We learn so much about this world. You really care about the characters. I mean, the Betty Jughead.
Oh, I love that romance arc.
It's so good. It's just, I feel like it was like surprising and no one like expected this. And then I was like, yeah, we're back. We're watching teen dramas again instead of like rewatching One Tree Hill again, like what I was doing at that time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, 88% on Rotten Tomatoes for season 1 of Riverdale.
Well deserved. That should be 90 even, I think.
I know. I think people forget. I think people forget that because the later seasons got so crazy, and so ridiculous, and so over the top campy and deliberately campy, like they leaned into it in the later seasons. People forget that season 1 was like a Lynchian murder mystery.
Yeah, and that's why I really liked it, because I was like, oh, we're getting a teen drama, but it's like a mystery too, which is something I hadn't really watched before.
No, we hadn't really seen like a darker teen show like that ever. And I think that, it's so watchable, and it's also, again, simpler because it's not so crazy and ridiculous. But it still has those sort of soapy, like recognizable elements that we love.
I know. I just think they did it right. And maybe that is why later seasons like get a little crazy or something, because like season 1's a little more grounded somewhat. And like maybe they just were like, we don't know what to do by season 5. So
yeah, when you have, a teenager running a secret speakeasy nightclub, it's like, well, okay, we've lost the
Among
plot.
Us, I wish I was doing that.
I know.
I should have. Would have made a lot of money.
Who had the time?
I mean, but the bear.
The
bear attack.
Classic.
Like, we did not have that in season 1. But I remember, too, being like, who did this murder?
Right.
Like, I had no idea. And it was really fun trying to figure that out every week.
It was. We also got Luke Perry as Fred Andrews. He was a big part of the show.
And that was really fun because we loved him on 90210. And it was like, I love when they bring back the people who are on older teen shows and bring them back on the new ones as parents. Like, keep doing that. It is so fun.
Yeah.
Like, what I need James Lafferty to be a dad on something soon. At least Chad Michael Murray. Like,
give it 5 years and I'm sure we're gonna see it.
Yeah, I need it.
Yeah. So go back, watch season 1 of Riverdale. It's delightful and short.
This is literally making me want to go back and just watch all the season 1s of these shows.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So are we on your number 3?
No. So my number 3 was Outer Banks.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then Riverdale was your number 3. My number 2. So what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Friday Night Lights. One of the regrets I've also had on this podcast is that I did not put Friday Night Lights into my top 10 teen shows on our first ep. But I feel like back then I was like really putting up guardrails for myself of like, is this a teen show? Are we counting it?
Yeah.
Which I do think it's a little bit of an outlier. But I've accepted that we can talk about it on this podcast.
There's a couple teen shows like that I've avoided talking about, but we'll get into that another time.
I was re-listening to that first episode today, and I mentioned this to you earlier, but you guys were very on the fence about whether Gilmore Girls was
which is
considered
so
a teen
funny.
show.
I know.
It's like we talk about that all the time.
I know. We're like, Lorelai is the main character.
Yeah.
So does this count?
We got a little loosey-goosey.
We're not so litigious about things a year in.
No. We had to. We needed more shows.
I know. We got to expand for the purposes of content.
I love it. Yeah, we take this seriously, people.
Okay, so tell me more about season 1 Friday Night Lights.
I think it is a really solid first season of a show. And I think I just have like a special place in my heart for the first season. Like, I just remember like binging it on a computer because it was on NBC.com. They like had all the episodes out.
Okay.
And like I would pretend I was doing my homework and I was really watching that show. And I just got so sucked into it. Like, I just think it's a show that gives you all the feels in the first season. You're sad, you're mad, you're happy, you're just like feeling everything for these characters. And I feel like it was a show that was really planned out too. It didn't feel like it was like jumping around too much in season 1. They hit a lot of really good topics that like other shows maybe wouldn't have gone into or like wouldn't have talked about. I mean, even just the scene of like Tammy and Julie like talking about sex And like she wasn't telling her like not to do it, but she gives us just like really good speech of like, are you really ready to do that? And it didn't feel too like after school especially either. Like the show just feels so real and raw. And I think like season 1 is the best of all the seasons. And then when they win in the end, you're so happy.
Yeah.
And it's a good journey. You got to watch it.
I know. I mean, you and producer Jesse did a whole episode on season 1
did.
and made me want to watch it. So one day, maybe this fall in time for football season.
Well, everyone just wait for our season 2 app.
Maybe I'll catch up and I'll join you. We'll see.
Maybe that's why I'm like, season 1 is so good because then you see
like,
what
how did
happened
it
in
go
season
so
2.
off the rails?
Yeah,
I know.
You look back fondly on what came before because you know how bad it gets later.
But wouldn't you give it like a good ranking?
Yeah, it's one of the best first seasons of a show for sure that I've seen in this genre. And, you know, I think it's a teen show.
Yeah.
So I think we've agreed on that now.
Yeah, it's a teen
I'll
show.
allow it.
Yeah. No, it's such a good first season.
It's a teen show. It's not a teen soap.
Yes.
There's a difference.
Right, but what are we? We're
Okay,
changing
I know.
our description of our podcast.
But I'm just saying.
It's evolving.
We're moving on.
Okay. It's my time for my number 1.
Oh,
and
very exciting. I feel like we're going to have the same number
I
one.
think so. Should we say it at the same time?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
The OC. I knew this was going to happen.
Of
but
course.
It's so iconic.
It's
like, how
obvi-
could we not put it as number 1?
I mean, listen, critics have said this.
Yeah.
Casual TV watchers have said this. Season 1 of The OC is incredible. It's great television from beginning to end. And we've talked about it 1,000 times, and here we are talking about it again. It's so good.
I mean, there's only one answer to what is the best first season of any teen show, and it's The OC. I mean, it's soapy in the best way. We get so many events, so many trips, so many storylines. Like, we should do an episode on just like, can you name all the storylines of season 1 of The OC? Because I've seen it so many times and I still don't know if I could.
Yeah, I go back and like look at the Wikipedia and I'm like, what? Like that happened? Like I forget and then I remember. It's so much going on.
I mean, nothing draws you in like this season. Like if I just randomly would to put on the pilot tonight,
God.
I would be 10 eps in.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like so addicting. I think that it was like maybe one of the first things I ever binged, and I was like, I felt like I was on a high. Like it is just so good.
Before binging had the name binging.
I know,
yeah.
Seriously. I mean, the OC season 1 is my drug of choice.
Put that on a t-shirt. Add it to the merch shop.
We'll make a t-shirt of that.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs. Watch the OC. Just season 1. I mean, also, it's just really good though too. Like there's 27 episodes, which is insane.
Crazy.
But there's not even like a filler episode. Like every episode moves the plot forward and like big stuff happens.
Yeah. I mean, and also like all the things that we love about the show are in season 1. We get the core 4 forming as the core 4, not just like separate relationships, but they become a unit. We get Sandy and Kirsten at their best, I'd say, during season 1.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, they have some tough spots, but I think season 1 is like maybe their strongest.
Yeah, and they're involved in the kids' lives more
Yes.
in season 1 than they are in later seasons, which I like.
We get Luke, we get Anna,
Yeah.
which we don't have in later seasons. We get Yoga Lattes.
We get Oliver.
I literally wrote this in my notes. I'm like, say what you will about Oliver. He is fun to talk about.
I know, he is. And it is, his episodes do like, they make you so mad that it's like so fun though to watch, I think.
Like looking back, now that you know how it ends, you're like, oh, like he's entertaining. He was very entertaining as a villain.
And we get great music moments. We have the Rooney episode.
So great.
Which was so fun. What else do we got? They're going to Palm Springs. They're going to Tijuana. Like
They're going
are
to
all over.
Vegas.
Yeah, they're in Vegas in season 1.
Yeah, they're in LA. Julie Cooper's being Julie Cooper. We see her get to scheming very quickly. She divorces Jimmy and is immediately moving on to Caleb.
And then we see her affair with Luke, also in season 1.
Not a great moment for Julie Cooper, but again, an entertaining plotline.
I think too, just with the OC, like it was my first kind of foray into like the teen soap genre. And I feel like though they were really the ones to like do teen soap even in a different way than like 90210 did.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
They're different shows. And this just felt like a new genre, like something so different and like poppy and fresh
Yes.
and just like crazy. Like it was just, it's so good.
Yeah, I think if you look at like 90210, it sort of invented the genre, but
Right.
it was season 1, and I looked at season 1 and because I was like, oh, it's the first season 1 of the first teen show, really. It's not. It's very much like Story of the Week.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's not, and it's very like wholesome, almost after school, especially. Season 1 of 90210 is not that great. It's not that interesting.
No.
It's not until we get to the summer episodes when things start to really pick up. So, but the OC does it right, where they do the summer episodes in the summer as the lead-in to the fall school year stuff, and I think that's what gets you in too. It's that summertime thing of getting people like, when like you're not traveling, it's like the end of summer vacation, but you're not back in school yet. And so like they get you at like the right time.
It was smart because the summer episodes are really fun. And I do think that those draw you in a lot. And we don't have to see them like sitting in a desk. And I do think that was one thing too that the OC did really well is like we don't see them like in class much, at least.
Yeah.
Like we see like one school project in season 1. And it's like, that's all we need. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need to see that. Like, just have them talk in the hallways, whatever.
Yeah.
But school is, like, not as much of a thing, which I like. And I think was also just, like, true to this world and these characters, too.
Exactly.
It doesn't get better than that. It's probably the show where I've seen season 1 the most, too.
Yeah. It's just, like you said, it's so watchable. You start with the pilot and then you just keep going.
Do you have any honorable mentions? Any shows that we didn't talk about that you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe this didn't get brought up?
So my only other one that I sort of thought about, and I'm okay with leaving it off the list, but I had considered it, was Teen Wolf.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I really, I love Teen Wolf, and I think
Yeah.
that season 1 is a great job of doing the balance of, they do a lot of the school stuff, at least like within the hallways
Yeah.
of the school, if not in the classroom.
Right.
And they keep it grounded in that way, but it's still really fun. It's still really interesting. They use the school as part of the larger sort of plot to the show and not as like, oh, here they are doing a class
Right.
project. So, yeah.
I think season 1 of Teen Wolf is good too because it's fun to see Scott being like, I'm a werewolf. Like, he has no idea what's going on. He's confused.
He's got a bad haircut.
Yeah, and it's like that just leads to good TV.
Yeah.
And then again, this whole other world comes out of it. But a lot of times just those more kind of like quieter episodes in the beginning of where Scott's trying to figure it out and we're trying to figure it out. Like we don't fully know all of what's going on. It's so interesting. And there's so much too of his and Styles' relationship in season 1, which I really love.
I love that too.
What would you say is the best first season that was only that season? So a show that did not get renewed.
There's a lot that were like 2 seasons. So just, but not quite 1 that, I think could have been longer. Of the shows that never got renewed, and this is debatable if it's a teen show, but I think the characters are teenagers. I think the main characters are teenagers. It's Julie and the Phantoms is the one that I'd pick from Netflix.
Okay.
Definitely like on the sweeter side. It's more of like it's like acceptable for preteens. Like it's more wholesome for sure than most of the shows that we talk about. But I really loved that show. I thought it was really fun and entertaining and also like made me cry. So I wish that had gotten a second season, but
I know that show got good reviews.
It was
too.
very good. Yeah. Very watchable.
Netflix, what are you doing?
I know. A shame.
Every time. I would have to go with, the classic, My So-Called Life.
Oh, yes.
Jordan Catalano, it just was like such a good show. I didn't watch it while it was airing. I was a little younger, but it was something that I watched like when I was in college. On Tumblr, I believe.
Yep. Wow.
And I loved it. And I thought it was so great. And I do think that it's such a well done show, and it's sad it didn't get more seasons. And it's like one of those two that everybody still talks about.
Yeah, critically acclaimed.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh well, hopefully some of these shows that we've watched this year and discovered get a lot more seasons. We know Max and Hall's getting a season 2.
Yep.
My Life with the Walter Boys season 2.
Exactly.
Is there anything we've watched that is like up in the air?
I don't know. School Spirits, is that getting a season 2?
Yeah, that's getting a season 2.
Yes, that episode hasn't come out yet.
But don't you worry, it's coming.
Yeah.
Coming soon this fall.
We'll be talking about School Spirits. Only
a year
9
after we recorded it.
It was definitely March or February. It might have been February. I'm wearing a beanie, so like, anyway.
That's why it will come out in fall.
Wednesday is it has filmed a season 2.
Yeah.
So we know that,
exciting.
yeah. So I think most of the new ones that we've watched are all getting a season 2.
It does feel like they're like picking these shows up more often than they like were before. Like of like show, you know, those ones that like were on Netflix that I feel like just were like, okay, here's like one season, that's it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like I think Teenage Bounty Hunters, like that's one that was like a teen show, only got one season.
Yeah.
And like,
so I feel like they're like, because they're doing so good on social, because we're talking about them.
Yeah.
They're
Thanks
getting
to
picked
us.
up.
send us a check, Netflix.
You're welcome.
Exactly.
Is My Life with the Walter Boys?
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah,
it too?
they're getting
I
it
think
too.
they're filming now.
Yeah.
Excited.
So fun.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that season 2 glow up.
I know. No more wet hair for you, Alex.
I'll be disappointed.
I know. We need something to pick on him about.
The foam finger.
Oh my God, there's too much to count. All right, well, before we go, we're going to play a little game for our 1-year anniversary. We're going to do a little Guess the Quote where producer Jesse is going to give us a quote from a TV show, and we get to guess where it's from and who said it. But what's funny about this is there was a little misunderstanding in our group chat today.
Slight miscommunication.
I think it's for the best.
I got a text from Jill asking me to pull some quotes that we can guess. And I thought that she meant quotes from our podcast. And I was a little annoyed that she asked me with 2 hours notice that I needed to re-listen to all 45 episodes.
I love that you think like that. I think we're so quotable.
But I thought that too. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of work for
Well,
Jesse.
You know what? It turns out that I found some quotes.
She did it. She pulled it off.
But I did do my actual work too. And I did pull some quotes from TV shows as well. But we're going to do those first. And then I will also have you all guess the quotes from our own podcast and
fun.
see if you know which of you said it and what you were talking about. But,
Fun.
that'll
I'm
be
excited for that.
Okay, but we're going to start with TV show quotes. And I actually pulled quotes from season 1's.
Oh,
Nice.
fun. That's perfect.
Yep.
See, you had time for all this.
Yeah,
You're good.
you know, I'm quick. Okay, so the first one, and I feel like you guys will know these, but
That's fun.
the first one is, it's fate, it's destiny. We both like burritos.
Oh my God. Oh, Seth Cohen, the OC. Oh,
I was like,
he
wait.
says it about Summer. Yeah.
Wow.
He does.
Okay, but when
Nice.
you said like they're all, I thought it was gonna be like that was a good one. That was
okay, good.
perfect.
Yeah, I
It
was like,
took
is it
me a
going to be the
minute.
obvious one?
No,
Yeah, okay,
they're
good.
not that obvious.
Great. That's perfect.
That's fun.
That's
I'm
nice
excited
job,
about
Jill.
this now. Yeah.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
like, I can hear it in my head, but who is saying it? This is fun.
Okay, the next one. Some girls can't resist my good looks, my style, my charm, and my unflinching ability to listen to Taylor Swift.
Oh my God.
This was in you
It's in-
guys' top 5.
I was going to say it's going to be a new one.
Oh, it's got to be a newer show.
It's not.
What?
I mean, it's not
look
like
at
one
my
that
list.
came out like this year.
Is it The Vampire Diaries?
It is.
Is it Damon?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That's so good.
Okay. As you were saying that, I was like, I feel like I remember like this because they made some.
When I
contemporary
saw that quote,
references.
I was like, oh my God, he loves Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Okay, wait. Read the quote again.
Okay.
But do it as Damon.
I'll read it again though. Some girls can't resist my good looks, my style, my charm, and my unflinching ability to listen to Taylor Swift.
I should have known that because all of the Vampire Diaries writers and like creators and producers all love Taylor Swift. So
Yeah.
I should have put that together.
Nice.
But that's a good one. These are fun.
Yes.
All right, we have one more. Why are you a cheerleader? No offense or anything, but you're about the least cheery person I know.
Oh, this is One Tree Hill, and it is Lucas Payton.
Yes.
Okay.
Good job.
Nice.
Yay.
Wow.
Yay.
Okay, I'm
got
glad they
it.
weren't all like so
No,
obvious.
we got it. We got
I mean,
them.
it's not like you said, like, don't say I never gave you
I
anything.
know, I know. And we'd be like,
I
come on,
can't-
it's in our
I
fucking
can't pull
intro.
anything from our intro.
That would have been funny if you just gave us the quotes from our intro and be like, do you know who said this?
That would be fun.
Okay.
We know. We have those ones down.
Yes.
All right, so now it's time for you all to, in honor of our 1-year anniversary, identify the quotes from our own podcast and see if you know which of you said it and what you were talking about.
Oh my God, fun.
This is really fun. I'm excited and scared.
Claire, I can just tell Claire is nervous right now. It's so
am.
funny.
I don't know why.
All right. He's cheesy, he's creepy, he's weird. She would absolutely in no way put up with his psychotic, unhinged behavior.
Claire definitely said this.
I-
This is a Claire quote.
Yeah.
It was Claire.
Did I say that about? Was that the One Day episode?
Yes.
About the man who I can't even remember his
Oh,
name.
Ian.
The other guy.
The guy
that-
the redhead.
Yeah.
Wow, good job. I was like, this could be about a lot of people.
Yeah, that was
I
good.
did. At first, I thought it was a different guy, and then I was like, no. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
That's
like
fun.
Dean from Gilmore Girls.
All right. Next one. I don't know if it's just that middle part in his hair, if I'm blinded by that. I don't know, but I'm like, this guy's a good actor.
Jillian definitely said that.
Definitely said that. Okay. There's a couple of people
There's
I could have
two
said
big
this about.
contenders.
Right?
It's either Conrad Fisher or
Or it's Cole Walter.
did I say it about the guy from Maxton Hall recently?
Ooh. Oh.
You love a middle part.
Well, it's
Yeah.
also
Well,
recent, too.
It's a new thing.
It is.
I'm gonna go with Conrad Fisher.
It is.
Yay!
Nice, Conrad. Yeah.
I
Good
got
job.
it.
Yeah. There it is.
That
All
is
right.
so funny.
I have two more.
Oh, this is so fun.
Okay. It's giving, will you go to prom with me more than will you marry me?
I feel like Claire said that.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I was
did
going to
you
say
say
you said that.
Oh.
Did you say that? Producer?
No, none of these are my
Okay,
quotes.
I was like,
I don't know. I feel like either of us could have said that. I feel like maybe I did say that.
I think it was
actually.
you.
Was it me?
It was Jill.
Okay.
Wow, that's fun. Wow, what a fun quote I said.
Is that when we were talking from the real life couples episode and it's Chad Michael Murray proposing to Sophia Bush?
Yes.
Oh my God! Yes, on
he
that
did it-
tennis court
Yes.
in Australia with the
Yes.
candles. Oh my God, I forgot about that. Wow,
That
I
was really
cannot believe I said that about a real life
Because I was like,
thing. I'm sorry.
I was like, what was a cheesy proposal? And I was like, oh, duh, it's
Yeah,
Chad
that one.
Michael Murray.
I was like, oh, I probably said this about one of those like high school marriage proposals that they do in the show.
Nope, a real one.
Oops. My apologies. But
Okay.
I think we can all agree.
Yeah.
If you watch that MTV diary of that, you
dark.
would agree.
All right, last one. They end up having sex, so we get a little.
Are you okay?
I already know what you're gonna say. Say it. You got it.
I cry every time. They end up having sex, so we get a little teen romance there. A little, TNA.
Claire.
That's my biggest regret is saying that and then blanking him on what it means.
It's so good. And then we had to talk for 5 minutes about what TNA is.
I
because
am
we didn't
crying.
know.
I'm literally.
I was crying.
So I said that. I
Yes.
don't remember what it was about though.
I remember it was about we were doing our holiday episodes draft and you were talking
God.
about the episode from Legacies. And it was about when what's her name, the blonde one?
We've re-listened to it
makes
many
out with
times.
Sebastian the vampire.
Oh, Lizzie.
Yeah, Lizzie makes out with Sebastian.
Anytime I need a good laugh.
Wow. I love that you guys pull that up.
It's just so funny, all of us dying,
It
laughing,
is
like
so
looking it
good.
up, trying to figure it out.
oh, right. Because you thought it was TNA.
Yeah, and
not
then once we
T
finally
and.
figure it out, we're
Right.
like, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, I fully.
We were like, are you sure that's what you meant?
Oh, good times.
It's also
Wow.
like just a makeout scene.
yeah.
I think I thought it was one thing and not the
It's
other.
okay.
But yeah, it is just a makeout
I had to
scene.
bring it up. I was like, if we're talking about season 1 of this show, we have to talk about my favorite moment.
I
so.
fully blocked that out.
Oh,
And that
I
was
didn't. I did not.
I gotta get shirts made for the next holiday
TNA.
season. Yeah.
Please do.
Okay, well, sorry about the miscommunication, but that was fun.
No, that was fun. That was a delightful miscommunication.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Bookmark some quotes for season 2.
Yeah, for season 2, we'll be remembering and we'll play this again.
Oh, that was great. And you know what? I'm going to get shirts made that say teen and adult, and all of our fans will know what
Yes.
we mean. That's good. Well, this has been such a fun 1-year celebration.
So great.
This has been great. Cheers to 1 year, ladies.
Cheers to 1 year.
Clink,
Clink.
clink. We did it. 1 year down, 9 more to go. No, I'm just kidding. 50 more to go. Well, thank you, listeners, for listening over the past year. We have really enjoyed making these episodes for you. We've had a lot of fun, so we hope you have too.
And stick around to see what we bring you in season 2.
I know.
Yeah.
Lots more new shows, some of the old shows. I
Yeah.
gotta talk about the Summer I Turned Pretty again.
I know, it's been too long.
I'm counting down the days, so more fun stuff ahead.
Yeah. If you are a fan, tell your friends, tell your neighbors to follow us, listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on social media. That is TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at previously_on_teen TV.
And rate us 5 stars.
Thanks for listening.